Ben. Hey, how's it going? Oh, Ben's turtle. Yeah.
Rick, you know if you got to ask.
That's a pretty good exercise.
Okay, we're live. That's what it is.
Ask Deborah's in there.
I'll go in there.
She'll know.
Just fine with it. Possible to keep up with the leaves.
Hey, John.
Hey. I've been kind of mulching since. Pretty good, how are you? I'm good down there in So. You can do it. Yeah, yeah. When they're down there.
Oh, hey, Jay.
I have a smaller trailer now.
No, Ben, just go ahead.
Thank you.
John.
Hey.
Hey, buddy. How are you, Paul?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Couldn't be better.
Tommy?
Really?
Oh, okay.
You covered it.
Yes, thank you.
Great, Curtis is here.
You got the report?
Your intention would be to try to put the database on the advance. I think you better take a look at this.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Okay, we're on. There we go.
I just dropped my stuff in, forgot to give you yours.
Never know what kind of bugs are inside that thing.
Something about replacement, you know.
I think I remember that anyway.
No, because you read
We'll
it.
find out.
Well,
I guess the question is, what do you anticipate?
and you get better information besides the, what they're gonna do about, what has to be on and stuff.
Oh, I thought it was severe. That's the one I got. I got that one.
Yeah.
What is your actual answer?
60 days.
I didn't.
All right.
And I didn't know you.
Yeah.
Good. So,
The 60s.
I know we get there 60 days.
Yeah.
And then the thing about, I guess the one about putting a red flag out could be a violation.
Is that Brian?
Just in case.
I just want to make sure.
What percentage did you get?
95.
I got 75.
Yeah, I made it. Hey,
What day is it?
you know what, hey?
Saturday, it was like every day Saturday.
I got
Why you need to
confused.
cut that out?
I know one thing, it's Columbus Day.
I figured that out after I checked my mail twice, like,
Figured that out when I walked up to the courthouse.
I went through, discussed it, and all of the rejected.
And like 20 other people.
When can everybody?
Nobody could get it. I
No,
know it.
Huh?
When can,
True and all the
I know it
above.
was sent out.
Once it's all approved,
Yeah, I've read it a couple times. and every couple times.
there's some questions that need to be answered.
Okay, is this mine or yours?
That's here. I'm gonna let you look it over before I get out the rest.
Let's do that.
So we gotta look
If we
at.
want to discuss them there, I'm here. Jim Wilson and Debbie are here, they're part of the committee, and Rick will be here, so.
Yeah, Rick's here, so let's do that.
Checked it at the early end. What are you doing here, Dwayne? Dinner's over. Dinner's over. What are you doing here?
I had mine.
Every time I go out to eat somewhere, he's there. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
I got one of those. Okay, I think.
Adrian can't be more dressed.
What? I don't think so.
Oh, that's what I need to see.
What's that, bud?
I need to get a new laptop or maybe. But I guess I need to talk to him, right?
Just a piece.
We need to get a new laptop or tablet. I think I need to talk to him.
Yeah. Yep,
Maybe after the meeting.
yeah, we can do that.
Sign up before the storm.
Hey, Deborah, just make sure I got it straight. The only difference is, this is the right number, right? Yeah, we just made a small movement. Okay, got it.
AJ's on.
AJ's the only one not here.
Okay. Well, it's 7 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. If you would stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank everybody for coming to the board meeting. We'll go to announcements. Clear Creek Conservancy, Dwayne Kelly.
Dwayne Kelly, 282 Patriots Landing. We got the spillway sealed, and we still haven't had to let the lake down. So that should be, unless something completely unforeseen happens, should be the last time you should hear about sealing the spillway for 2 more years. We need to do it 2 years.
Sounds good. Thank you, Dwayne. Floyd Township Fire Department, Jeff Brooks.
We've had 228 runs to date. That already exceeds last year's total. We're expecting about 100 more runs this year than last year. Our new generator system is scheduled to be installed and completed in early November. The generator is in, the switchgear to arrive next week. We're just waiting on a 48-hour fuel tank to be built, and that goes underneath the generator, so everything will arrive at the same time. Lastly, everybody mark your calendar for a chicken noodle soup dinner on Saturday, December 12th at the fire department. The time's not definite, but likely 4 to 8 o'clock. The meal's going to include chicken and noodle soup, cornbread, mashed taters, and a drink. We're all asking for dessert and to-go bowl donations. If you do donate desserts, they do need to be individually wrapped because there's a pandemic going on.
Thank you, Jeff. Neighborhood Watch, April Ann.
All's been pretty quiet. I did have one call about an attempt, they believe, in Jefferson Valley to steal a Cadillac converter. They were spooked off by the owners when they turned on the light and opened the door. They did see them running off the property. They had a black hat. They were dressed in black, totally, black hoodie. But she had a child at home and couldn't take things any further. But she believes they were looking at the Cadillac converter on her car. I would also like to thank all the sponsors for the October 3rd band. It turned out very well. It was a huge turnout. Thanks to Lance Goldsberry and the fire department for involving the parade during the fall bash. That made it a great night. It was awesome. I hope everyone got to see it, and if you didn't, you really missed something special. It was really cool. Also, I'd like to mention that on November 14th, here at the clubhouse, we are doing a holiday bazaar, which is a craft and hobby show downstairs, and it is limited space. So if you know anyone or yourself that's interested, please contact me. We're up to about 15 spaces reserved as of today. And there'll also be lunch there as well, served 11 to 2. Soft tacos and taco salad will be available.
April, thank you very much. And wasn't that parade something else? Everybody got to see it?
Oh,
Just
that was awesome.
awesome. Really nice. HLCS, Rich Miller.
I have nothing special to report, but thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Rick. POA, oh, wait a minute. Hellback, almost missed Heather Ledlow. She not here? No one here to report for Hellback?
No.
Vacation.
POA Security, Brian.
3 animal complaints, 22 traffic stops. We've had 3 suspicious persons or vehicles called in, 6 admin calls. There's been 3 thefts. I think one of them was a new construction home where they lost some flooring. 2 mental calls, 2 threats. We've assisted with 2 medical calls. We've had 6 alarms, 2 car crashes, 1 assault. A trespassing call of some juveniles in one of the new homes that was being built, smoking cigarettes. So if you see new homes being built, just pay attention to juveniles, because they're starting to get rowdy with the trespass. 2 domestics, 2 lockouts, a child custody issue, a burglary in the Patriots Landing area, and a disturbance, a fraud. And there was a criminal mischief yesterday. It was isolated. The girlfriend broke up with boyfriend, so he slashed her tires. Something to do with the charge. That's it.
Talking with Ken, I guess that one with the flooring, I guess there was arrest on that one?
I know they took one into custody for questioning. I'm not sure what the disposition of it is now. It might still be under investigation.
Okay, thank you. Thanks very much, Brian. Garden Club, Anita Johnson.
I just wanted to, Anita's not here, but I just want to report, we put several large bags of chopped up leaves up into the pollinator garden up north in Lincoln Hills, and we're gonna need a lot more. But if you would, contact Anita directly if you're gonna go up there so she can supervise. We're gonna spread it across there, turn it up, and make it a much, much more effective thing next year.
Thank you, Jim. Presentation of agenda. Any additions or corrections for anybody have for the agenda?
I would like to add the new business, please, to further discuss the potential change in attorneys.
Okay,
If no one objects.
everybody good with that? That'll be E under new business, and Paul Ford will be speaking.
If we could, under new business, just for this evening, let's just table item B.
Okay, we can do that. That had your name on it anyway, didn't it? Okay. Other than that, anything else? If not, we'll go with the agenda the way it's been amended. Presentation of minutes for September 14th board meeting minutes. Any additions or corrections to those, the way they were distributed? If not, I'll take a motion to accept as...
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
September, opposed? September 28th, operation meeting minutes. Any addition or corrections to those? If not, I'll take a motion to accept.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? September 28th, executive meeting minutes. Any additions or corrections to those?
How could you make any additions? It was a long one.
It was very long. If not, I'll take a motion to accept.
Motion. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you, everyone. Treasurer's report, that'll be Mr. Jim Johnson again.
Yeah, okay, for September, we've accrued income of $104,700, and our expenses were, real expenses were $152,521. So we're in a mode of negative income balance of $447,821. And just as context, you need to remember that's accrual, it's not actual income. We've already received the income. So our run rate's gonna be right around 50,000 negative for the next 3 months. And if you think of that as 150,000, total income year-to-date being 193,457, and total expenses 141,906, leaving a balance of 251,551. That means we're gonna end the year about 100,000 in the black. So just for whatever that's worth. Our short-term cash, that's just money that we can write checks on, is 242,959. And the total of our investments made up of CDs and money market accounts is right at 600,000. Actually, 672. Just for context, we paid Grant Construction a total of $943,832. There was an overstatement. Last month we stated that it was $883,350. We just made a boo-boo and corrected that. We received donations for the marina of $18,262 from our generous people. Motorized boat fees are up 146%. Non-motorized, 129%. Slips, 103%. Tie-ups, 110%. And permanent campground, 116%. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you, Jim. Very good. Any questions of Jim? Okay. Board committee reports, A&E, Joe Manetta, or Ben?
It's been
Ben?
Ben Book, 77 Gettysburg. September, we approved 20 permits that included 23 projects. There were 8 houses, and they were 1,505 square feet, 1,513 1,812, there were two for 1861, 1904, 2715, and 6958 square feet. Had 2 decks, 2 boat lifts, 2 docks, 3 fences, 3 additions, 2 garages, and 1 porch.
Thank you, Ben. Campground, Lori? Nobody here from the campground?
When does the campground close, if I could ask?
November 1st, I believe.
November 1st?
Yes.
Thank you.
Halloween's on the 31st, and they're going to keep it open Sunday, so it's November 1st, I believe.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Cleanup, Sarah? I know Dick's here. Government Committee, Dick Warner.
Dick Warner, 183 Jefferson Valley. Reporting on the county council meeting on the 15th of September. Commissioner Rick Woodall appeared before the council to confirm a new planning zoning inspector would start the first week of the new year. The current part-time inspectors are not interested in the full-time position, so they're looking for a person. Commissioner Woodall requested the council permission to transfer $8,000 from remaining 2020 planning zoning director salary. Director position is currently unfilled, or will start in January, so there's some leftover money to cover costs for inspections for the remainder of the year. And that was approved by unanimous vote. Council members approved Commissioner's decision to remain in the West Central Indiana Solid Waste District for 2021 at a cost to the county of $55,000. PCEMS finances continue to be strained, and they have been granted an extension until June 2021 to pay back their interlocal loan of $400,000 for this year. The current remaining funds in PCEMS account is just enough to cover salaries, so they're frequently coming back to the commissioners asking for some more funding. When asked about additional collections from past unpaid bills, Commissioner Woodall explained that there's little hope for more such income until next tax season, when tax refunds can be withheld to pay the bills that are due. Commissioner Woodall also reported to the council that a decision has been reached with Operation Life nonprofit to immediately transfer $136,000 to PCEMS. Operation Life has been withholding leftover funds until things got settled over the course of this year. So they're still withholding $50,000 because of potential Medicare call for refunds from Operation Life. The commissioners are pushing to transfer all the funds, and PC would assume any repayment to Medicare. Awaiting lawyers to respond. County Commissioners meeting on the 21st of September. Lisa Zener appeared and was introduced by the commissioners as the new planning and zoning director effective 1/1/2021. She will continue in her current role with planning and zoning until January. The commissioners reported that state of Indiana has called for interlocal agreements for potential COVID funding with all public school systems in the county as soon as possible. Greencastle, Area 30, and South Putt school agreements have been submitted. Cloverdale and North Putt is coming soon. PC spent $55,000, Putnam County has spent $55,000 of $1.2 million allotted by the CARES Act for our county. And the county has been admonished for not spending these monies fast enough. PCEMS Director Kelly appeared before the commission to request consideration for equipment needs related to COVID. The total requested is a whopping $782,000, which includes mechanical CPR devices, laryngoscopes, larger transport vehicles to allow for social distancing. A Tahoe can allow the social distancing, a smaller sedan does not.
as well as funds to fix mold issue at the headquarters to enable quarantine space for workers exposed to COVID. And then the county commissioners meeting on the 5th of October. The commissioners report that the county is now applying to the state to distribute the rest of the $1.2 million COVID funds. As the state's been pushing, they've relaxed the rules by which the funds can be released. Several residents appeared before the commissioners to request help with road issues. The commissioners reiterated that there will be no further road work done this year in the county, anticipating more costs to the county in general for COVID-related costs. While at the same time, the Putnam County Hospital has requested PCEMS be used to do transfers of patients. So EMS is getting kind of dumped on, but having problems with funding. The 2 new Tahoe vehicles for PCEMS would be able to provide this basic support, maintaining social distancing. A lot of times when patients release, they're needed to get sent back to their home county hospital. And the hospital is hoping to keep their ambulances for advanced life support purposes. A couple of other notes on election 2020. The early voting for PC residents is now available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the courthouse level 2 in Greencastle. Also on Saturday, October 17 and October 24, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Election day voting, November 3, will be available to Heritage Lake residents from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Floyd Township Volunteer Fire Department down by the dam. And lastly, anyone with an interest to assist reporting on local government activities is urged to join the monthly government committee meetings to learn and assist. Next meeting will be held Thursday, the 22nd, 10 a.m. here at the clubhouse.
Thank you, Dick. Let's move back to C for cleanup. Tom has a report to give on the cleanup.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly, I'm part of the cleanup committee, and Sarah had sent me an email indicating how our clean sweep went, our clean sweep event. We had 4 dumpsters for that event. We completely filled all 4 dumpsters. One of them was metal, that was completely filled, and the other 3 were just scrap. Sarah basically had said to the committee, "Thank you so very much for all your hard work today. It was such a great day with your help." Our grand total was $1,747 minus the $500 we had to pay for the dumpsters. So that led us a net value of $1,247. And basically that money goes back into the community by way of different things. Everybody has noticed we have some aluminum can recycling containers that was purchased by the cleanup committee. So just anybody who is interested, our cleanup committee meeting will be this Wednesday at 7 p.m. right in this room. So if anybody wants to come out and become part of the cleanup committee, we'd love to have you show up. It's really not a great involvement of your time, but it certainly is a helpful thing for the community. That's all with cleanup. If I may, I'd just like to jump back to the Floyd Township Fire Department. I don't know if everybody knows, but the Floyd Township Fire Department Trustee Board meets every quarter to discuss their business, to discuss different equipment they're purchasing. It just happens to be tomorrow night, 7 p.m. will be their 4th quarter meeting. So if anybody is interested, please come out. It's right at the Floyd Township Fire Department station, and I'm sure they'd love to have you. Typically, I'm the only one that shows up from the neighborhood, from the community. I don't know, Jeff, do you have anything that you'd like to introduce?
The only thing I would say is we better confirm that date because a board member told me the next meeting was the 27th of October.
No? Okay.
COVID is from thing, I'll actually send a text right now, by the end of this meeting, we'll know what the answer is.
Okay, so then you could correct me if needed. Let's not forget, I don't want a lot of people to show up besides myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Let's see, that'll take us to Lake.
I got a few notes, Rick.
Okay, Jim.
Kent's not available, so. These are just a few notes from the minutes we took at the last meeting. We're still waiting on a 65-foot pole from the Hendricks Power Company. They had agreed to put a pole up down here on the south end of the Eagle Nest. We still are waiting on it. They keep telling us they're gonna do it. We were told there's 2 fish tournaments left this year. So far, everything's going great on the fishing. We made a motion, there was a motion made to purchase 12 new buoys for the next season. It passed completely from everybody at a cost not to exceed $2,400. It was also suggested that we purchase a canopy for the security boat. We discussed that, but decided to table it until we could get a little more information on it. We discussed the rework of the Lake Rules book, which is Deb's doing a lot of work on, and questions of enforcement and so on. And there was a motion made to purchase hybrid striped bass for this next season. We need to get it in right away. I think probably some board members know this already. They want to use the $4,500 line item from the POA budget. And the committee also recommends that the board keep the $4,500 line item in the next budget for 2021. And the current 4 officers who are in charge now are going to attempt to do it again next year.
So it's the same people then, Jim?
Same people.
Congratulations, Jim.
No volunteers.
Thank you very much, Jim. Cleanup, Phil McKinley? Didn't see Phil.
I think Steve has a
Steve.
report.
Okay. Steve?
Yep. This is Phil McKinley. In the last lake and fish study by Aquatic Control, one of the tests that we knew would not be included was a test for water clarity using a CC, which rhymes with Becky, which I don't know how to pronounce it. Earlier this month, I performed the test at 4 locations in the lake. I noted 2 interesting findings. One, the CC depth was almost identical to the 4 widely scattered locations. The depth was measured to be 5.5 feet, the same reading as the test done by Commonwealth Biomonitoring in 2016. This clarity is considered mestroscopic, the middle of the 3 classifications. Since it was identical in 2016 readings, the additional findings in 2016 reports about photosynthetic zone, dissolved oxygen, etc. would also be applied still. I hope I pronounced all those words right. There's some big ones.
I think you got it, Steve.
I don't know.
We'll give it to you.
Okay.
That's Purdue education.
Thanks, Steve, very much.
You're welcome.
Siltation, Dwayne Kelly.
Dwayne Kelly, 282 Patriots Landing. The only thing I have is our projects for the year are complete as far as I know. I haven't seen the billing on the final project yet. And we will be meeting Thursday, October the 22nd at 7 p.m. here at the office. And that will be our last meeting until March of 2021.
Just, Dwayne, if you could, I don't know if everybody is aware of the projects that the siltation committee did this year in 2020. Would you be able to just quickly, I hate to put you on the spot,
No problem.
tell the community what we did?
Long as I haven't had any figures, so long as my memory still cranks along here, we'll be okay. We did a $40,000 project at the north end out in front of the beach, which we've worked out there now. I think this is the 5th or 6th year. We get a lot of silt in from up there. We've never got it all the way cleaned out yet. We had 7 property owners come to the meeting. All 7 of them didn't came, but they sent a representative. On Cove 15, which is the largest cove, it's a cove that the Fort Getty is on. That's Cove 15. The property owners, because the siltation's policy is not to dredge within 10 feet of your dock or lift because of liability problems of undercutting, and those property owners wanted to know that if they used the contractor to clean out their areas around their docks, lifts, if the siltation committee would work on cleaning out the center part of the cove, which we did. We spent $15,000 dredging out what they didn't get dredged out 10 feet away from their docks and lifts. We have another $15,000 project, the one I haven't seen the billing on yet, up here in the east end, where that feeder stream comes in. We have problems with the delta building up out there as that silt comes down. We don't catch it all in the silt basin up there. We catch a lot of it, but when we get the heavy rains, it overshoots the basin. So that's a project. The 3 projects that we did this summer should be a total of about $70,000.
Thank you, Dwayne. HLEPT, Tom Novak.
I'm going to give my time to Mary Ann Novak to report on the blood drive.
Very good.
Mary Ann Novak, 25 Mill Springs. We'd like to thank everybody who came out and donated blood last Tuesday. There were 46 donors, and 16 of them were first-time donors, which is very encouraging because that means I will hound them next time and we'll get new blood, and that's what we need. We collected a total of 40 pints of blood. So thank you again, community, for stepping up. We're going to have another one. We've got scheduled already in January, our normal January schedule. It's going to be Tuesday, January the 5th, so you'll be hearing from me. Please save your blood till then. And then I'd like to just switch gears since you're letting me talk. I'd like to speak for homemakers. Heritage Heartland homemakers are collecting coats for kids. Perhaps you saw the boxes you were coming in the doorway. They need to be brought and put in that box by this Thursday, October the 15th. Then those coats, we'll take them over to the youth development in Greencastle, and then they take all the coats that they get, they bring them to the Women's Correctional Facility, and they do all the cleaning, and if it needs a little bit of mending and that, they will do that too before it is given out to the kids. And that will be at the fairgrounds on October the 24th, which is a Saturday. And if you want to, the child has to come with an adult, and the adult has to have the child there too. So we need both of them there. So thank you again for stepping up.
Mary Ann, was there anything besides coats that is acceptable?
Oh, thank you, dear. Yes, hats, gloves, scarves, mittens are also acceptable. See, Tom's done this with me for too many years, so he knows what I'm forgetting. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Mary Ann. And thank you, Tom. Before we move to the next one, I'm going to turn it over to Jim Johnson.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I kind of want to start off the introduction I'm about to give with a word of thanks. And this would be to Jim and Deb Muhlenbein, and particularly Jim for the countless early morning, afternoon, evening conversations we had, and endless text messages going back and forth between us during the Covenant adventure that we went on together. And I want to personally thank them both for their extraordinary contribution to our community in working on this project. Muhlenbeins did the whole thing. It was absolutely unbelievable the work that they put forward. And with that in mind, I'd like to ask Jim and Deb to get up and tell us the results of the Covenant effort.
Okay. First, I want to talk about the election. So that's the election. We have 7 people who picked up petitions. I would encourage any of them who are listening, get your signatures in. They have to be in by the end of October, the last Friday of this month. At this point, unless there's any changes in the board between now and then, we'll have 4 openings. If we end up with 7 or more candidates, then we'll have an election and probably do a meet candidates day and all that. So, as far as the vote goes, Deb, you've got a whole package there. If you'll pass one out to everybody, so the board all has one.
Can I help? Take that second.
Thank you, John.
On your first page, if you look at the top, the total lots at Heritage Lake is 2,986. That's not the number of votes we normally have. I think the number is somewhere around 2,100 owners or so. The total votes that were cast is 1,373. 401 of those came from our e-vote, and 972 came from paper petitions. In period 1, we had 590 votes. Period 2, we had 592. And in period 3, we only had 191. The total lots represented by those votes was 1,980. 527 of those were by the e-votes, 1,453 by the paper petitions. That represented 66.3% of the total votes we could have. So we didn't even make quite a quorum of 66.6. Period 1, we had 789 of those. Period 2, we had 801 of the lots, and period 3, we had 390. So the total lots voted yes was 1,473. That meant that 74.39% were yes votes. Almost 75% were yes votes. Total lots that voted no was 507, 25.6%. The required number of lots voting yes to pass was 1,991. We were 519 short of passage. The breakdown by the subdivisions, I won't go into every one of them, but you can see by the totals on there, I put the number of lots that each division has, the number of yes votes, the percentages of yes vote in that particular subdivision, the no votes and the percentage of no votes, and then the percentage of that subdivision that voted. Lincoln Hills gets the adulation of being the highest yes vote division. The lowest, or the highest no vote division was Gettysburg, and the division that had the most votes was Victor Hill, with 73.33% of their division voted. Now, on July the 10th of 2020, I ran a report indicating the exact percentages of yes and no votes per subdivision on that date. Dwayne Kelly and I agreed in a written contract that the Clear Creek Conservancy District would vote their lots located in each subdivision in the same percentages of yes and no votes as of that of the subdivision the lot was located, thereby not showing any favoritism to the yes or no vote. So in other words, if you had 74% of yes in that group, they voted 74% of their lots that way. Once I received their petitions, I verified that they did what we agreed to. And a copy of the agreement letter is attached to this for your to look at. We had 43 disqualified petitions. Most of them were for voting twice. A few of them were just ineligible to vote. We returned 76 petitions to the owner for failure to properly complete the petition. And that was normally because the vote was not indicated on the petition itself, or someone else needed to vote. Of that total, 60 were then returned properly completed, 84 lots. 16 were never returned, 34 lots. In some cases, the owner was contacted many times. And the other addition to this, we had 648 petitions with an email address on it. So that all goes into the system for us. Your second page is the contract between Dwayne and I. We signed it each, and it gives the exact explanation of how we did it, as I just discussed. And on the last page you've got is the final email I received from Ruth on the e-vote, showing the votes received, the percentages, and the yes and the no's. Any questions from anybody?
So how is it you figured that since?
Out of order, forum is at the end of the meeting.
No, I think,
Can you answer questions?
no.
No, not till the
It's
forum.
just the board speaks now. The forum. I want to thank you, Jim, and your wife, and Jim Johnson for 18 months and the past board that put this together. Thank you very much for your time, Jim. I know you and your wife and Jim Johnson put a lot of time in for that 18 months, so thank you very much.
Chris too, Rick.
And Chris.
The three of us.
That's the past board, yes.
Yeah, thank you.
And you can add Deborah to that too.
Amen.
Thank you, Deborah.
We did a lot of back and forth on this thing, didn't we, Jeff?
Thank you.
I was wondering, Jim, just a question, in your statistics or your analysis, because in the past, at least in the past petition, not the current, the one that just completed, but the one before that, a question was asked regarding people who don't live at the lake or just have property at the lake. Any statistics about how many votes that included or that represented and how they voted?
I really don't, Tom, because the way the spreadsheet is laid out, it doesn't really indicate. There are some on there that give an address somewhere else. During the time period, we did a lot of mailings, and in some cases, Jim Johnson called a few of them. Deb and April, I know, worked on it from the office. They called quite a few of them that knew that probably wouldn't be voting out here. So we did receive some from that, but as far as a specific number, I can't tell you that. And I couldn't tell you if it was more yes or more no, which way it was. But I'm going to guess, Deb, for us, I'm going to guess we didn't get a whole lot of them. Most of them that I remember recording, just from remembering what I was doing, was mostly people who were out here. Those that moved away, we had a handful that had moved, that had sold their property, still had to vote if we wanted their vote, because they moved, they bought their property after or before the time period. We got a handful of them back, but it took effort to get it. I mean, there were a couple of them I called, or wrote to and called 3 or 4 times, and they finally voted for us, but, you know, it was onesies and twosies. It really didn't add up too much.
Yeah, I was just interested because the previous time, it was like a 50-50 split. People who didn't vote either had property and didn't live here, and the other 50% were people who have property or do live here, and they didn't vote. So it was like an even split. I was just wondering if it was any
I can
different.
do this for you, Tom. If I go back through the spreadsheet and look, I can run through the thing, and if their address is not listed as a property out here, if it's somewhere else, Avon or Carmel or someplace else, and they voted, I can give you that information. How accurate it is, you know, is kind of tough, but if it says Avon for an address, then I'm assuming they only have property out here. I can write down whether they voted or not. I can't.
Oh, no, that's not necessary, Tim. I was just wondering.
But I could go.
No, please don't do that. You did enough work, great work.
Okay.
I was just wondering for this time versus last time.
Okay, thank you, Jim and Deb. Thank you very much. Okay, that takes us to the manager's report. Feel sorry for Ken, he's on vacation in the Keys this week, so he's not here to report.
That's right.
I'll read his report he gave me. Last month's project of recoating the bottom of the pool and the baby pool has been completed. The results turned out very nice, and the pool has been refilled and will be set for winterization on October the 19th. A reminder that the marina will continue to be open in October during Friday, Saturday, and Sundays only from 11 to 5. This is for the convenience of fuel and the remaining inventory for those continuing to enjoy the lake. Also, a reminder to access the 30 acres for leaf drop-off began this past Saturday and will run every Saturday and Sunday through November, 10 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. If any special arrangements need to be made, please arrange the day before by calling the office. If doing so, please make an attempt to meet between 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. Since October 31st falls on a Saturday, the last day for the campground to be open will be Sunday, November the 1st. Beginning Monday, November 2nd, we will be winterizing the campground. All campers will need to be shut down for the season by the end of October. I've been in constant communication with the Board of Health regarding the COVID guidelines. I have not been given any particular guidelines regarding trick-or-treating for children. For those that chose to participate at Heritage Lake, our trick and treat hours will be Saturday, October 31st from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Finally, I would like to thank the wonderful community one last time for their overwhelming support you showed for the law enforcement on Saturday night, October 3rd. Your support is truly amazing and appreciated. Respectfully submitted, Ken Roselle. Any questions on the manager's report? Okay, that brings us to the old business forum. We have Marina update, Paul Forbes.
The update really is only concerning the potential restaurant. I can tell you at this point there are no fixed dates, and that is totally supported by the pandemic and what is happening through the company that is coming out here to put a restaurant in, and what they're dealing with in Indianapolis at the moment and surrounding areas. They are opening up a new facility in Bloomington that they're involved with, and another facility in Fishers that they're involved with. Both of those have been pushed back. Bloomington is now open. Fishers will be open in November. So at this point, there is no date to announce to the board. As far as anything other than that, I would just suggest to you that because of the pandemic, we don't have a date, but because of the pandemic, we are going to probably be buying much of our equipment through that restaurateur, because they're closing some facilities and they're going to have some equipment available, and they also have furniture available. So that I will report on when I finalize those projects.
And that should save us a lot of money buying them from
We are hoping.
Okay.
Just a question on that used equipment. How are we coming up with a price, a cost?
Oh, he's going to offer it to us at whatever price he can offer it to us.
Do you think we should have like a third party? Because I have no idea how much used equipment costs. You know, I don't know if you do. I don't.
Paul's going to bring the prices to us from him to the board. That's my understanding, correct?
We have a established budget for the equipment at the marina, and that budget had included possibilities of a combination of new and used equipment. Once we get a list of all the equipment that's coming here and the prices of that equipment, I will submit it to the board.
My question.
As far as going out and reviewing every piece of equipment and seeing what the price is compared to what the price would be on used equipment out there in the market, if you will, or comparing that to new equipment, I can get it compared to new equipment. But if you have a volunteer that wants to take the serial numbers and model numbers off of used equipment and go out into the market and compare it to model numbers similar to that and figure out if we're getting ripped off, I personally think that what we're going to be offered is it's going to be a fair market value on the equipment that he either has in storage or is coming out of another restaurant.
But he has said that, and correct me if I'm wrong, that he has enough equipment for that we need for our place.
Well, at this point, he hasn't made that completely clear. He thinks he does.
Okay.
There may be a piece of equipment that he would elect to have in the kitchen that he would not have a piece of equipment for that. And then we'd have to make the decision whether to buy it. And under those circumstances, I just look at the budget and see what we have and go from there.
Jimmy, do you have something?
Yeah, I don't think Tom's asking that we get to the detail level that you suggested. I think he's just asking that we try to be at least some way diligent about, because this is not going to be a small acquisition. And if the money is in the budget, that is not a reason to spend it. If the money is in the budget, we need to spend it wisely. So I don't know that we need to go to great detail, but we need to have some kind of diligence. We owe that to our community.
I agree.
Well,
that we need to. We've been.
I think from the start of building the marina and the start of dealing with a restaurateur, I have been diligent in all aspects of the building of the marina, working with the contractors on almost a daily basis, working with the equipment people almost on a daily basis. We have had questions from the board along those lines all through this process. Some of those questions reveal the fact that you might not be satisfied with the price we pay for certain things, but the value of those things we bought, we paid that price for, in my estimation, and in the and I explained that to the board at one time, before you approved the money that we were using for those items, that what goes into those decisions is not just the cheapest. It is the longest lasting. It is something that has been proven out there in the field that it will last long and it's worth the extra money to buy now. The same thing is going to go into the equipment. I'm looking into this equipment. Yes, I do know pretty much what a gas fryer costs. And I know what a used gas fryer should be worth. It's common knowledge. You can, and I will go through those figures when I make these decisions. Is that what you're after, or?
I was just wondering, and I know you've done a tremendous job and everything you've worked on. I was just wondering if there could be a third party that could sort of help you out, you know, so you don't have to devote that much time to doing it. That's my only reason. And to get a third opinion, you know, or another opinion, you know, of the reasonable price for a piece of equipment. I know Sam, and he is not at all going to try to get something that he doesn't feel is fair. All I'm saying is, it would be nice to know what a price of used equipment would be. That's all. You know, so if you don't think you need a third party, I think, you know, you should relieve yourself of some of the pressure, personally. But
thank you.
Anybody else? Jimmy, do you have anything on B there?
I missed something in the garden club thing. Can I speak about it? Just one little thing?
Go right ahead.
I want to give a shout out to Mr. Stoyer. Kurt has really been the leader of that project, and Anita's, her role as worker bee. The guy that's leading this thing is Kurt, so everybody just needs to know that. And if the camera's looking at me, Kurt, thank you. We appreciate everything you do. I'm very sorry that I didn't mention that. Let me see if there's, nope, I don't have anything else to say.
I thought Jim did an excellent job. Thank you, Jimmy. New business, office computer upgrade discussion grant.
So I got a new sheet that explains it, and I realized that I didn't put the price at the end there. So I have a total added up. Well, I got a subtotal and a total. So for the upfront cost on that stuff right there, it looks like it'd be about $1,500. I'm thinking, depending on what software, because I still need to look at, see what software we are using and different things. It might be an extra, I was thinking $500 to $800 on software. I don't plan on using all that. It just depends on what the best security software would be for the computers. I just found out at the beginning of this meeting that QuickBooks doesn't work with the NAS system, but as I understand, QuickBooks is on every computer that needs to be on there. It's not a server type thing, but I don't know all the information about QuickBooks because I haven't used it, so that will still be on the computer, but all the other files should be on the NAS system, so it's backed up and we should never lose it if something happens to it, because right now we're running off of one computer that takes a lot of time for stuff to load. You're basically using one computer as a computer and a server, and it makes it lag down because it doesn't have much RAM, but I think in total $2,200. I did get the upgraded, still use computers, because a new computer would be about $2,000 each, but it does have the SSD in it, which is the non-mechanical, basically you can throw it off a building, still work type thing. Other than that, are there any questions, I guess?
Did you say that,
Go ahead, Tom.
did you say the use the word desktops that you're replacing, they'll have solid state drives?
Yes, they will have solid state drives. I believe they are about 256 gigs of solid state drives.
So basically, okay, they'll basically hold the operating system, and I don't know how much QuickBooks takes up.
I don't know either, and I was gonna look into that, and if we need to upgrade to the next level up, it looks like it's only $50 more per computer, so.
I think I'm correct in, I just don't, since the NAS cannot support QuickBooks Enterprise Solution, or any version of QuickBooks.
Right.
What will the NAS be used for? Data storage?
We can store data, security cameras, really any information. Right now the server has, or the quote-unquote server has a 1 terabyte hard drive that's 75% of the way full. And I'm not sure what's on there because I don't have access to look at what's on there, but whatever's on there probably needs to be at least backed up and put on something a little bit bigger and faster, so that whatever that big Excel file will open faster than 10 minutes, which should speed up times for, payments and things like that. Yeah.
But you're saying the QuickBooks file is what takes the time to load?
No, an Excel file. Is it, Deborah, do you know, is it an Excel file or is it QuickBooks?
It's Excel.
It's Excel.
When they're large like that, you just sit back and,
Have a cup of coffee or two.
yeah, have coffee, take a break.
For that particular QuickBooks server, let's just call it a database manager,
Okay.
because that's what it is. It's not a, but anyways, for that particular one, would we be smart, since that will be holding QuickBooks still, to get a little bit more robust machine maybe thinking of a new one. I guess the only thing that sort of scares me about these used ones, I believe this particular model, unless I'm wrong, came out in 2012. And that would make it 8 years old. And usually, in terms of computer hardware, like the CPU, that's over the hill. It's great that you'd be putting in solid state drives, but again, the CPU that's in there is an eight-year-old CPU.
Didn't think it was that old, but I can check.
I happened to look it up, and it came out that it was first produced in 2012. I just think for that...
First produced and hasn't stopped production yet, so they're still making it because it's a good one. I can look at what year those are because those models are still being produced for Lenovo. I believe I had those model of computers.
It's also good to know that, that at least from Newegg, this happens to be a grade A computer. And basically what that means for the people in the audience, it does come with, as Grant mentioned, it's refurbished, and it's refurbished to a Microsoft standard. Okay, that makes it grade A, which is encouraging. I just think we need to think about the utility of this NAS versus putting that money into one unit that would be used as the QuickBooks manager. Because I just don't see the utility of the NAS currently.
As far as I can tell, and I did quick research before I started talking, QuickBooks is a program that's on each computer.
Correct.
And so what you're saying is there's a
Database.
that's held on one computer then?
That is correct.
Okay.
And the database has what's referred to as a database manager, and that database manager runs only under Windows operating system. So therefore that's why it couldn't be used on the NAS, because it requires the Windows operating system.
Okay.
But I just think, I would like to see that money go for the NAS to go into that database server.
I can spec out another computer that's a little bit better, but I still think that we should have a NAS system that is a double backed up system in a way just so that we don't lose information. I mean, if you go in there and take a hammer to the computer right now, all your information's lost. If you take a hammer to the side of the NAS, one hard drive can go down, the other one can still run and still have all your information. I mean, it is very rare for two hard drives to die at the same time, even in a power surge. But I can look into it, spec it out. Knowing about the QuickBooks would have been helpful last meeting, but I can look at it again and bring you back more information if you think.
Look, we do have a contract with the QuickBooks vendor for service. I would really encourage you, to contact that support and tell them what you're intending to do, and asking for advice.
Okay.
Because QuickBooks could be a tricky little beast, and since that's the primary product that we use, we have to be careful when we do that changeover. So if you could just, possibly get the cost of a machine, maybe a brand new machine.
$2,000 for the same spec of this low grade one.
I probably would suggest that the new one might have an updated CPU. You know, something besides what's referred to as a Core 4. But,
Core 4. So if you looked at a Core 6 or an 8 core, right now, new stuff, even on a low end, you're looking at 800 on the lowest thing without having the basic stuff on the inside. So,
I just, you know, would ask to.
okay, I'll spec it all out for you.
To investigate it. You know, it's just me. I mean, you don't have to do it for me only. If none of the other board members have any concerns,
I think all Grant wants to know is what goose he's chasing. And maybe we ought to look at this in a larger way. Do we have electronic communication with sales at the marina? Do you know instantaneously what they sold? Here at the POA office?
Yes.
So there's some kind of a net between,
No, it's cloud-based.
but you know immediately.
Mhm.
Might we want to look at this in an enterprise way? And if it costs us 20,000, it might be better than spending 2.
yeah, I think, you know, your reference to things like the marina software, all that marina software and all the data, we don't store that locally. It's stored up on the internet. As Deborah points out, it's stored in a cloud.
Is it Carbonite?
No, it's the software itself that is web-based.
Okay.
So it's all up there. We don't even back it up, they back it up. That's why we pay them
$218 a month.
$218 a month to do that service. So the NAS wouldn't be used to back that data up.
Okay.
The only thing the NAS would be used, you identify pictures. I don't know how many pictures we take, or I can't even tell you. The marina has a survey camera system. I don't know where that data is being stored. Maybe that
continues
would
to
be
dump,
Simply
though. It continues to dump.
It's stored at the marina.
Yeah.
On the hard drive there.
And it dumps after a
For
certain
the-
number
for the
of days,
cameras.
he says.
That's all I'm talking about.
Because the only other thing are documents. And I'm sure that the office does routinely back up each individual in the office with each individual machine. They throw a little thumb drive in there and they run a little program and it backs up their documents.
Do we, Tom?
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, saying, yes, you do.
Rarely. Rarely.
But this isn't gonna automate your backup. You'd have to buy some additional software like Cobalt to back up automatically.
Maybe we ought to look at this.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, if I was gonna set up the NAS, I would just set it up so each computer had a folder thing and you just worked out of that as your save and load page.
Yes.
And it'd be quicker because you're not running a server and a computer off of 8 gigs of RAM on an i5, which is, I think it's a 2-core currently, running 8 gigs max, which sits at 4 gigs just at idle. Not running any programs, you're using half your RAM that.
Well, your recommendation for 16 mega RAM is an excellent regulation or request. I don't see there's anything wrong with that. I just question the ability or the usefulness of the NAS in our environment. Maybe future-wise, yes.
Also, I don't know what fills up that current quote-unquote server, so if it is all that QuickBooks, then I'm gonna invest in a better.
Do you need to get more access than you have to get in there to find out those answers for yourself?
Possibly.
Would that help?
Yeah, that might help.
Have you got time?
What?
Have you got time?
I'll find time somewhere.
Okay, all right.
I'll find it.
When Ken gets back, can you work with him on getting access?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. If that'll help you, I think
Yeah.
that's what you need to do. So you'll be back with more numbers?
Next ops meeting, and then Yeah, next ops meeting, we'll figure it out from there.
Okay. Thanks, Grant, for all your hard work. It's
Yep.
appreciated. Thank you very much, because it's gonna help the office. It's gonna help all the people waiting for our computer system. A&E Rule Edition, Paul Forbes.
You each have a copy of the rule additions here. These are basically rule additions that have been contemplated for the last 6 months now that the Putnam County Planning Department is revisiting their rules and regulations, and eventually they'll be probably enforcing a lot more inspections than they used to do in the past. But they're asking for different things to come to their office from builders, and you can use this as a keeping up with our own specifications for builders, and also hopefully paralleling the county's new rules and regulations. Under the application requirements, the changes are highlighted there. They're darker than the rest of the page. Number 5 is new houses. Home additions and garage must conform to all current building codes established by the Putnam County and the IRC. Any exceptions must be specified in writing at the time of the application. That's self-explanatory. Plans for new houses and home additions must include a foundation cross-section drawing, which I've given you an example of that, depicting the footers, foundation, drainage, block and concrete walls, crawl space where applicable. These things have been looked at prior to this point, but they have not been explicitly explained in our requirements. Next one is plans for the new homes and home additions must include a framing cross-section, also a drawing depicted the studs, insulation, weatherproofing, drywall, exterior materials, examples being brick, siding, etc. The last one is plans for new homes and home additions must include a completed new home construction information sheet. Those are available at the POA office, and they will be given out to all applicants when they come in to apply for additions and homes. Under our guidelines, in order to change any rules or add to any rules, we would need to vote on it twice. Unless, of course, we feel that we can waive one of those votes because it is of a timely manner. And I think this is of a timely manner. There's nothing on here that's controversial. And we would simply like to keep up with what we think Putnam County is going to be administering here before January. So with that, I would submit what's it called?
Motion.
A motion.
I'll give it to him if you want.
I lost it there for a second.
I motion that we waive the second vote on this matter.
All in favor? Oh, I second it.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay,
So this goes in effect immediately, correct?
yes.
I make a motion that we put these in effect immediately within the rules of the A&E under 115 application requirements.
I second it.
All in favor? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Paul. We as a board met last week for the final time on the budget for 2021. I'd like to make a motion. We're going to have 2 votes on this, so tonight's vote would be the first. It would not be completed till the next month's meeting. So before we go to a vote, does anybody have any questions since our meeting on Thursday? Everybody's clear, completely clear on a $1.5 million budget for next year? With that, I'll make a motion that we accept the way the budget's been presented to you guys tonight with all the corrections.
Second. Steve got it.
All in favor of the budget, please raise your hand. So moved. Thank you. This budget will not be out to the public until after the second votes taken and passed. Then the budget will become official for 2021.
One more thing, Rick.
Yep.
We made a commitment to the community that individuals who voted in the last segment of the covenant vote would have a drawing. And they will receive, whoever's name is drawn, will receive a fine gift. And what is that?
A gift certificate for $250, the first person. Second person would receive $200. The third would get $100, and the fourth and fifth would get a $50 each certificate.
And given the number of
Prepaid Visa
people who
card.
voted in the last one, the odds are good for you. So, do we have the names?
Yeah, on my USB drive. We have the tickets.
Let President Huddleston do the drawing. I want Tom to do the drawing.
No,
Or let Paulie
how
do
about
the
the
drawing.
audience?
Oh, okay, take it out then. That's good.
The audience?
If they draw
No,
their
wait,
own,
which one are we drawing now?
congratulations.
We drawing the big one or we drawing the small one?
The first one is $250.
The big one.
Start with the big one.
Go big or go home.
Yeah.
If you draw your name, you gotta put it back.
Sorry, the computer, the USB.
That's not true.
Here we go, officer. How does that work? That works fine. The ticket drawn is number 042373. 042373.
Feel like I'm at church.
Thank you, Tom.
Bingo. Next
Names to
drawing.
be presented,
How much is this
future
for,
date.
Deborah?
200.
I know who draws.
And I brought
Draw
you-
her name.
You voted in the first round.
Voted second time. The name, the number, ticket number,
Still didn't have it.
042337. 042337.
Yeah, right there.
What's the next prize, Deborah?
100.
100. Don't look. Ticket number.
They're all numbers.
Ticket number 042361. 042361.
Bingo.
What's the next prize, Deborah?
$50.
$50.
my goodness.
Ticket number 042442. 042442.
I think that's my number. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's a-
Yes, one more $50.
Last one.
Thank you. Ticket number 042456. 042456.
Great
Did
answer,
you
Tom.
ever run a bingo thing?
You betcha.
Okay,
Yeah, bingo
the office
downstairs.
will be in contact with the winners for their prepaid gift cards.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Deborah. Okay, we have F, which was added by Paul Forbes. You've got the floor, Paul.
Okay, we discussed at our last executive meeting the possibility of hiring a new attorney, full-time for the Heritage Lake. So I have some information to help you. I sent you all the bio on Mr. Treadway. Hope you had a chance to read through that. And in conversations with him on questions that were raised by some of you and myself, I have the following facts for you to hear, and then we can go into more discussion if you'd like. He is completely fine with being paid hourly or being put on a monthly retainer. The reason he suggested a monthly retainer, or we came up with that idea, I don't remember how it started, was because he works with other HPOAs, and some of them are intrastate POAs, and they like to budget for their attorney lines. And so he has clients that have a budget, and they like doing it that way so that they have a line item on their budget. We have a line item on our budget. I'm in favor of going hourly. As you know, you all know what his hourly fee is. That hourly fee is $50 less an hour than his normal hourly fee. He is, no matter whether we go with a retainer, monthly charge, he would reevaluate those every 6 months or however period of time we would like to reevaluate that. We will not get a rebate. If we decide to pay him X number of dollars a month and we reevaluate in 6 months and we think that we don't have to pay him that much, we can change it the following 6 months, but we don't get a rebate for the first 6 months. There is he will enter with a letter of engagement, no matter how we do this, letter of engagement. Whereas the question I asked him was, is there a difference having an attorney that is on retainer or having an attorney that is paid hourly? And he suggested that there is no difference. He is our attorney, whichever way we choose, and he will supply us with a letter of engagement, no matter how we feel we want to deal with it. I asked him also how long he's going to practice. He is on his own. He has his own practice at this point, and his answer to that was he is going to be practicing full-time for the next 5 to 7 years. He also suggested that he is not the type of person that is going to stop working probably ever. And we know some of those. And he suggested that at the time of his 5 or 7 years, when he decides to semi-retire, if you will, he's going to be eliminating heavy litigation clients, which take up, obviously, the majority of his hours. Let's see. I already discussed the rate. Oh, and on the collections, my suggestion at this point, my own personal suggestion, is we pay them hourly. We're going to be paying the amount of money we talked about, the $325 an hour, but with collections is what we use an attorney for more than anything else out here. His paralegal charges $150 an hour. She is the majority of that cost. The only participation he gets involved with is if there's anything out of that collections that is extraordinary. Obviously, if we get to a point where we have to take someone to court, he's going to be involved. But just for collections, her fee is $150 an hour. Those are the new facts I have.
Any questions?
That was very fast. We asked this on Thursday, that was fast, getting all that info.
I guess I would have,
That was in between getting prices for used equipment.
Okay, Tom?
Go
the
ahead.
question I would have is have we gotten from the gentleman any references, any POA references, like other POAs that he does represent?
No.
Is that something we might want to consider looking into? Asking for those references and maybe contacting them? It's just something, typically when you would be hiring an individual, in the past when I have hired individuals, I've asked for references and I did the due diligence or had someone do the due diligence of calling some of them and checking out. And I don't know, the other thing I guess it would be somewhat directed towards Deborah. I don't know the arrangements currently that we have for collections. So I don't have any way to compare what he's offering, his collection services versus what we currently do. So,
We paid the straight rate for the attorney we had prior, no matter what the issue was.
So they don't get a percentage of what they collect. What do? Just bundle them up when you get a pack of them and send them over to them, or
I'll
you send
just-
them onesie twosies, or
No, August 1st, they go to collections, whoever has not paid their current year dues.
you let them have it?
Yeah.
And they do the contacting, and then, and what's their, you know what our rate is? I don't know if you know that or not.
Attorney rates are $5.25. If it's more than what is being collected, they have to reduce it in court.
Wait a minute, more.
So.
Oh, they stick the attorney fee on the customer. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they have to reduce it lower than what's being collected.
All right.
But
So if it's 300, then they can't charge $5.25.
I think everybody would agree, this guy is good. His detail is extraordinary in litigation. I mean, we all saw the book, and we saw how he comported himself when he represented the interest of our community. He was absolutely incredible.
I would also suggest that the scope of our community, what is happening in this community, if you look around and see the amount of money that's being invested in the properties in this community, it's being invested by people that can afford to invest in those properties. The acceleration of that type of individual is here. The expertise, I think, involved in any type of controversies, any type of decisions that the board might make, I think should be represented by the best that we can afford. I think that with the restaurant being on location, I think that we're progressing, I guess is the best way for me to put it. And we all know that, and the area is progressing. And I think if we would have never hired him for what we hired him for, we would have never maybe experienced the fact that he is quite a step up. And I think at this point, or in the very near future, we should think about representation for the community.
anybody, go ahead, Tom.
I guess the only other, thought that crossed my mind or concern is the depth. You indicated he's a single practitioner. He's not part of a law firm.
Not any longer.
So he doesn't have any kind of backup except his paralegal in terms, I would assume. Like if he goes on vacation, just a hypothetical, there's no one that could step in. No, I was impressed with the due diligence that he did in learning our environment, in learning our governing documents, in learning the background. I was impressed that he did that. I think he would have done it or in preparing for it, but I'm just a little concerned about the depth that's there. In other words,
He went on vacation for 14 days, 2 weeks ago, Paul?
Mm-hmm.
I talked to him 3 times on vacation, he got every answer I asked for in less than 24 hours. Paul talked to him how many times while he was on vacation? I know he
3.
So,
Well, it's a good question. I think that.
but I just wanted to point out
Yeah.
that he was available, even though he was on
He's
vacation.
very responsive. Now, one thing I neglected to mention in my conversations with him this last week, I asked him, well, at the end of 7 years, let's just say you're done. Let's just say you had a heart attack, you're done. Let's just say you're just sick of the whole profession and you're done. Are you around to make suggestions? Are you around to reference another attorney after you've been with us for 7 years? And his response to that was, every time he leaves a client and he expects when he gets to a point where he's going to have to leave clients, his mission is to make sure that those clients are well represented before he leaves.
The only thing I want to say is, I don't look at this as a lifetime commitment. What I will say is, I've dealt with quite a few attorneys in my day running some pretty large businesses, different types of attorneys, both from the corporate standpoint, human resources, you name it, workers' comp. The very first time I met Scott, and I never knew him before, I was pretty impressed with him. Not the book, but the way he conducted himself in comparison to some of those other attorneys I had met in the past. Now, don't get me wrong, some of the attorneys were good. But one of the last attorneys that left an impression with me is the young fella that attended the first planning meeting representing us. And I will tell you this, I was not impressed at all. Not in the least. And to me,
Take your
I
pick.
don't even know his name. You know, all I know, I was there and I saw him. Don't get me wrong, he looked professional enough and everything, I'll get it. You know, I was hit with the impression right off the get-go, when I first heard him talk, he's a lost puppy in tall wheat. And we are screwed.
And we were.
That's what I thought. And that's the way it ended up. Now, I'm not gonna blame them for that. And, you know, maybe they weren't experienced in the particular kind of law that was handled insofar as our rezoning. And maybe that's the problem. But if they weren't, they should have told us they weren't. And what we recommend is your attorney is we find another attorney for you to attend your first planning meeting. And I will say after that, when I first met Scott, and we all met with him, he came up with his game plan, he was gonna need this and this and this and this, and I thought to myself, Mother God, he's gonna need a lot. And if we can get this all pulled together and he can all put it together, if he can make this all happen, and by God, he did.
He did.
And I will say this, it doesn't sound to me like a lifetime commitment. But someone made a comment a few years ago, 3 years ago, what do you got to lose? And I think we've got a lot to lose if we don't have the right attorney representing our lake and our homeowners.
Deborah, do you know the extent of our collections? Just guess. I'm not hold you there.
20 to 30 a year.
You know what the collection percentage is? We don't write off that many, do we? So, what do you think?
We're always in the 90s, in the 90s.
And that's with these people.
That's where the numbers that Deborah comes up with before she gives it to the attorneys. We're in the, 92, 93% last time?
Yeah.
What I'm wondering is, what goes to the attorneys?
What
and then-
goes to the attorney and comes back paid is a good percentage. But there is a percent that seem to lie there, and I
I
don't know
mean,
why.
of the 30,000, there's a percentage of that. So, 10,000, 5,000, 15,000?
That just,
keep saying numbers.
I would guess it's between 5,000 and 10,000. That's just sitting there.
Tom, I get your point about expertise in the HOA business, and he may lack that. There's $10,000 on the table in collections. They're billing $5.25 an hour for a,
No, for that. Attorney fees when you go to court, when they're billed, it's $5.25. When they get to the court, the judge asks them to reduce it.
by the collected amount. But what do we pay our attorney? That's what I'm,
Hourly.
300.
so we pay them 300, and we don't know what the heck, how much time we got in each case. They tell us, no doubt.
If they deem it uncollectible, it's $150 flat fee to us, our expense.
But from what I heard from Paul, did I hear you correctly that on collections, the new way with the new lawyer, it's $150 an hour?
Correct.
And you said it was
300,
$300 today,
a little
correct?
down.
Does he have an uncollectible thing?
Didn't ask him.
That's a good follow-up question.
Do we need to right now? I mean, I don't think, do we even need to do any, I mean, does anybody disagree that this guy's
I guess
Superman?
I guess the
in
question,
litigation?
I guess the question on the table is, we're not happy with who we have. We found somebody that we're pretty happy with because he helped us with the zone.
In
Now, I'm
litigation?
saying we, I'm just taking general we, I'm not speaking for everyone. But he did pretty well. We're pretty happy about it. We don't like who we have. Like John said, this is not the end of the world. This is not the only lawyer we can ever have forever. If we take him on at an hourly rate and we don't like him next year, we can start to look for another lawyer. I mean, this is not we're not typing on the tablet here.
Are we set for a time frame? Like, is the contract gonna say 1 year, 10 years, or, I mean, are we looking at holding them for a certain amount of time, or are we gonna like look at it every year, I guess?
I think we probably look at it every year. I
Okay.
think we hire them for the first year and see how it goes. John made a good point. This isn't a lifelong appointment. This is a decision that we can make for the representation for the community. Now, the other thing, I think we've discussed this in prior meetings. He has spent 9 years of the last 9 years exposed to Heritage Lake. He used to live here on a part-time basis. And he knows Heritage Lake. He can recite the bylaws and the covenants almost by heart. And I'm not sure that there's anything else needed to represent an HPOA. However, the upside, in my opinion, is if the dirt hits the fan, he's there. And he's a bulldog. And he's a smart bulldog. And he does his homework. And he took every piece of paper that we handed him, and then 2 weeks later, made a presentation that was pretty out of sight. And at the same time, he has other clients. So this single attorney took care of us, while at the same time, he was taking care of other clients. He's a bright guy.
Is he asking for exclusive representation?
No, didn't pose that question to him.
Why would we want that?
Well, we have a proven track record with our existing law firm on the mundane, collections and,
Right.
nickel dime, this and that, demand letters and, that stuff. But he writes pretty good demand letters. A really good demand.
I don't see Jim Wiley would just,
Oh, you mean using both attorneys? That's,
Yeah, but there's a little bit of conflict in there, because if something that the other council does, it escalates into something where we might need Scott's unique talents, then it might not be a good idea to have a split like that.
right.
Is that your point?
No.
It's a short, okay, what's your point?
my point is, it's like going into a baseball game and throwing fastballs. I want my best fastball hitter at the plate.
Boy, you throw a fastball.
Yes.
Got a good slider too.
Like I said, this isn't a lifetime deal. We're not, putting someone in the Supreme Court here,
And obviously with our last lawyer, we jumped and grabbed somebody else when we needed them, so.
Well, we had, I think the head of that firm was a different situation.
Yeah.
I think everybody's opinion of the head of that firm was much higher than the exposure we've had with that firm after he died. Is that a fair assessment to those of you who knew him?
Yeah,
Yes.
he was a bulldog.
But he's no longer part of that firm.
No.
And I think that we made it very clear in our meeting with that attorney that this was a big issue for us. And that we wanted to be represented pretty well. And somebody was listening to that conversation from Chicago, who was supposedly had more credentials that could back him up. And she was at that meeting via Skype or whatever it is. Did you hear anything out of her?
She was an HOA lawyer, she wasn't a litigator.
She was at that meeting. I know you guys don't know that because we never heard of it.
You never heard peep from her.
So,
That's the press.
there you have it.
Tom, what do you think?
No, I still would like to see some POA references.
Well, let's table this till next month, is my recommendation, if everybody's in agreement with that. And we can see if you want to work on that, Tom, or Paul, or Jim, or myself, I don't care. We'll get that worked out and discuss it offline.
We don't need a two vote.
No,
We do not.
we'll just vote on it next month and table this till next month if everybody's fine with that.
And the one question that Jim had was, you know, is he expecting an exclusive? I forget the technical term you used, but.
Yeah, but I'd say that
I would be.
Brother John.
As a board
just-
member.
Just pretty much slammed that, I think.
Okay, I think
I
so.
think he did, I think your logic's good. I wish you didn't agree with me, but.
Okay, Deborah, did you get that for next month to put it on the? So no vote on it tonight, now give us 30 days now to answer your questions, Tom. Anybody else, anything else? If not, that'll bring us to our forum, which is the time for the membership to ask questions, criticize, critique, or say thank you, or whatever you want to do. What I'll ask you to do is raise your hand, be acknowledged. Please stand and give your name and your address, and then go. And I'll go with the first hand I saw, which is Dwayne Kelly.
Dwayne Kelly, 282 Patriots Landing. I just want to clarify one thing. Jim and I signed an agreement for the Conservancy. I signed that agreement as president of the Conservancy after a unanimous vote of the Conservancy Board. It wasn't just Jim and I, it was the board and I, or the board and Jim.
That was after the board approved it.
Yes.
Okay, thanks for that.
I signed it after a unanimous decision of us too, also.
Thanks for that explanation, Dwayne. I saw a hand back here. Okay, right here. You.
Diane Tower 309 Gaysburg. Whose terms are expiring this?
Jim Johnson, who's not returning, AJ, and Grant. And Grant and AJ are running again.
I got paper to sign.
If anybody wants to sign their...
I got mine in the car, I'm gonna go grab it after that.
Okay, these two are running again. Jim is elected not to.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That it?
So how did you get 4? Oh, yeah, because Mr. Brooks is gone.
Did you raise your hand, Mr. Brooks?
Mr. Brooks, yes, sir. Woo! Jeff Brooks, 123 Patriots Landing. Two things, Tom, I did get a message back from one of the fire board members on October 27th. So if you want to show up tomorrow with all your buddies and play cards, I'll unlock the door for you.
Okay, so just the Floyd Township Fire Department trustee meeting is not tomorrow, it's October 27th
Yes, sir.
at 7 p.m. at the fire station.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
And also, I would like to back Jim up and Tom as well in their question, or just wanting to have a little bit more information about buying used equipment. When you're buying used equipment from the guy who's willing to sell you, he's making the price, and that's not a bad idea to have another guy bring in there.
Got it. Thank you, Jeff. Anyone else?
I've got some online ones if nobody else does.
I just saw one
Go
hand.
ahead, I'll go last.
But after you started talking, I saw his hand out.
Okay.
Go ahead, Curtis.
Well, considering you guys' vote on the covenant change, you have to understand.
Name and address, please.
Chris Talbot, 309 Gettysburg.
Thank you.
Mask off so we can hear you.
No.
Go ahead.
No?
You can
No.
leave it.
Well, anyway, not a single no vote was required for these covenants. You have to understand that. So
Comparison of no votes to yes votes is virtually meaningless, because no one has to vote when you guys propose a covenant change of any kind.
That's true.
Or anyone else proposes a covenant change. So it's not fair for you guys to use those no's and yeses as some kind of criteria for your votes. In the second place, the Clear Creek Conservancy has no business whatsoever of voting any of the lots they have, probably not even the one they got their building on. Now, that is because every member of our association is also a member of the Conservancy. So when the Conservancy votes, they are violating our right to self-determination. Now, they tried to balance it, but it was an improper balance. And the truth of the matter is, they shouldn't be voting at all. I recommended to you guys several months ago that what you should really do is go to a judge or some legal place and find out that if you could not just eliminate the properties they own, so you wouldn't have to mess with counting the votes.
Curtis?
But you refuse to do so.
What's the question?
The question is simply is that how can anybody allow them to vote?
Curtis, just if I could address that, I think what you need to do is address Clear Creek Conservancy Board with that issue.
Oh, no, you guys allowed count the votes. I'm addressing you right now. I may address them later. I already addressed them once on this issue. They said they might vote, which is what they did. But I'm addressing you. You had no business accepting their votes in the first place. They did not pay any assessments whatsoever, right?
No,
And our covenants really
They pay on one lot, Curtis.
Okay.
I guess the point, not.
About the 136 or 140 or whatever their number is.
I guess, to answer your question, this petition is done. So therefore, if we could just think of it as old business and let's move forward.
Well, but the people need to understand, first of all, that it wasn't properly handled. Secondly, they need to understand that not a single no vote was required. Third, they need to understand that. I'm gonna lose this one.
But isn't it true, Curtis? This petition has passed, it's over with. So if there comes time in the future, then we could address your concerns in the future. But for this particular issue, Curtis, it's done. It's history.
It's important for the people to know, however, Tom. In the first place, even if we had been operating under the covenants as you guys wanted to change them, you still would not have passed the covenant change. It's because you did not get 2/3 of the votes that were cast. Secondly, if you include all those votes that weren't made because people did not have to vote, you really lost badly.
But Curtis, it's over, it's history.
We accept our loss.
And don't come back again with some more of this crap.
Okay.
Hey, that's enough.
We accept our loss, Curtis.
Yeah, anybody else have a question?
Right here, on the computer.
On the computer time.
Please.
Okay, so,
Name and address,
good luck with that.
okay?
The first question was, somebody was wondering if other food trucks are welcome to Heritage Lake.
They just have to check with the manager.
Okay.
There are insurance requirements that they have to supply to Ken before they can even come on the property.
He makes those decisions.
And he makes
Until there's a restaurant tour, he makes those decisions.
Okay. Let's see here. The other question was, well, there was a couple of them. I guess, which equipment are we getting the prices for the restaurant? Was it like furniture or kitchen equipment or is it all of that?
Kitchen equipment.
Kitchen equipment? Okay. There was one more on Facebook, hold on. Will there be any warranty on that equipment?
I don't know.
I assume the use done, so,
I don't know.
okay. All right.
That it?
It's something we can check into.
I will say that, the Som Corporation has their own people that work on their equipment,
Okay,
and that's part of their company.
so that's
They,
basically a warranty.
they don't rely on a second party to fix equipment when it breaks.
They have their own service company, so
Yes.
that's better than a warranty account.
But I will check on the warranty also.
Okay.
Is that it?
I believe so. Yeah, I think everything else was covered.
Okay. Harold?
Harold Patel, 189 Mill Springs. I don't know if anybody has taken the boating exam test online yet.
The permit,
I think it's fantastic.
the boating permit?
I agree.
I think somebody really needs to get some
Glad you
credit.
did that, it was awesome.
It's done very well,
Yeah.
very understandable, but I failed one question.
What'd you
I
get?
only got 95.
Which one'd you miss?
I missed the one that should be 90 days off the lake in case the guy's drunk.
Same one I missed.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. That test is unbelievable. And
Yes, great.
we're going to discuss it. Everybody here was encouraged to take it. We're going to have a discussion after this in executive session on the test.
You just want to tell the audience where they could take the test if they choose to?
Oh, is it open yet?
I haven't got,
It's on our website.
It's on the website.
Yeah.
Have we approved it?
So I've already.
we as a board have not met
I've got a
one time
certificate.
I
yet,
got one too.
but
So did Batman.
we have to meet in this room to approve it and put it in to go. We have not discussed it.
I have one more question on here, Matt. And that's it.
Okay,
One second.
go ahead.
Oh. So if we're, I guess if we're purchasing or we're looking at purchasing the kitchen equipment, did we not already purchase the kitchen equipment or some of the kitchen equipment already, or?
The only thing we've purchased in the kitchen is the hood system,
Okay.
I believe.
Yep.
Well, we held off to get through
We had approximately 90,000.
the zoning and all that. We stopped purchasing anything
Yeah.
inside the building at that time.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was, we were going to, and then it got stopped.
We were in the process of purchasing all that, then the zoning thing came up. We stopped until, we didn't even know if we were gonna have a restaurant. Until we got that approved, then we,
Okay.
which might be a blessing in disguise if we buy used and it's the same as new. It's stainless steel, most of the stuff inside the kitchen, correct?
Okay.
So if we get it half price, we're gonna be better off. Rick Miller, guy I wanted to talk to anyway.
Rick Miller, 26 Gettysburg. Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on that conversation on the test. First of all, we put it out there as a proof of concept and to let the board and other decision makers have a look at how it can or will work. It is a legitimate test right now, but I know the Lake Committee is looking at adding some different questions. And so if you have found it, took the test, and passed it, you can be assured you'll need to do it again later.
It is
Good, I
not,
only got a 75.
I think the questions that was asked are the real ones that we needed.
the Lake Committee's not blessed it totally to give it to us yet, is my understanding. Is that correct, Jim?
I'm blessing it.
And Rick?
Yes, it's just what you see now is a proof of concept, and I don't expect it's going to change a lot, but it could change some.
Some of the questions could change, is my understanding, but
There'll be more questions. I mean, we won't be more questions when we take the test.
there'll be 20.
There'll be more in the queue, so.
Okay.
So that it'd be more randomized and you won't get the same test over and over.
John,
No, you won't.
John is our board representative. He's gonna meet with us after this to tell us where we're at, because we don't know.
Yeah, I've been working with the task group, with Jim and Debbie and Ken Hoops and Rick. So, trying to develop it. Dick's attended a couple of meetings, so,
I thought the test was excellent, and you guys need to be complimented on the job you've done.
it works good if you have the right answers, so.
Okay, with that, no other hands? Jeff, one more.
Jeff Brooks, 123 Patriots Landing. One of the internet questions, the answers to one of the internet questions is posed a question in my mind, and I'm sure it's going to come about. I've had 3 successful visits from the Mexican guy, the taco wagon, all summer. So it sounds like somebody's asked if other food wagons can come out here. The response was, nothing, it'll be up to Ken until a restaurateur moves in out here. Then what happens? Is it no more? Is it somebody else's decision? Is it a restaurateur's decision?
Well, I
We
think
at least have a criteria.
We don't have the contract signed with him yet, so I can't answer that. That he's exclusive, we've got a subcommittee that's meeting with him to get the contract done. It's not done, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and is there anything in it so far that says he's the only game in town?
I'm not sure that particular point was discussed, to be honest with you.
So we can't answer that right now? Anybody else?
Good question.
Good question, Jeff.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You guys, thanks everyone for coming this evening. Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
And don't forget, tell people that want to run for the board to get their paperwork here and get it turned in. Anybody want to sign grants or AJ's? Executive meeting in 5 minutes.
Oh, they're saying that Kelly, please
So, and for somebody who's, I got somebody.
I did have a back.
Of course, I gotta do it again.
Well, but I mean, how can you criticize? We don't need that, Dad. I'll sign up.
Yeah, that's no problem. Yeah, yeah.
Good.
Oh,